We've arrived here in Yahoshua or Joshua. We were freed from Mizraim or Egyptian bondage. When we got out of there, we got to a place where we were given commandments, and he said, Moshe gave the commandments, or the decree, the law, and he said, all that you say we will do. And our ancestors said, yeah. But first and foremost, they came under a covenant when they put that blood over the door, before they could get out of Egypt, when the plagues came, when the death angel was coming. So we came out of Egypt under covenant. So how we arrived to the place we are now is, and Joshua, you know that as we were let out, we got out under covenant and we got the laws. We said, yeah, everything you said we're going to do. And that was a covenant. When you agree, because, and I'm just going to give you an overview of where we've walked from. You are not required to adhere to a covenant. You don't have to go into covenant. You could have been just like the other nations, all the other nations before that were conquered, but all the other nations, you could be just like those nations. You don't have to agree to terms, right? When we sign a contract, when you go, you like a car, you see the car, test drive the car, because all these people benefited from coming out from under the, out of Mizraim, under the covenant of the blood. They didn't have to. They didn't have to say, you know, we're going to do what you said. They could have went back. You could have go your way. But when you say that, y'all, you know, everything you said, I'm going to do it, you enter into covenant. You don't have to enter into covenant, but as well as we all know, it rains on the just as well as the unjust. So you'll still breathe, you'll live, but then there's a final judgment, right? Okay, so our people said, yeah, and then get out in the wilderness and cut up. And so Joshua or Yahoshua and Caleb are the only two, remember, that were able to go into the promised land, because everybody else had to die. They had to go. It's like, you know what? They even made the Moshe, who was the most humble man on the earth at the time, disobey. He tapped the rock twice, and he missed his blessing. So, you know, Israelites is tough, right? Hard head, stiff neck, cold, missed getting into the promised land. So, where we are now is, I'm going to go to one because it always just does something to me. So where we are now is, we know that Moshe had passed over. He died. It says, now after the death, and I'm just reading one, of the servant Moshe, Yahweh, it came to pass, the servant of Yahweh, it came to pass that Yahweh spoke to Yahoshua, the son of Nun, Moshe's minister, saying, Moshe, my servant, is dead. Now therefore go arise, go over the Jordan, you and all this people into the land which I do give to them, even the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given to you, as I said unto Moshe. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even into the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not be any man able to stand before you all the days of your life, as I was with Moshe, so I will be with you.
Where are you reading?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading 1 right now. Chapter 1. Yahoshua chapter 1. No. Okay, this is chapter 1, and this is just the intro to the intro. He tells them, there will not be any man, he tells Yahoshua, there will not be any man able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so I will be with you. I will not fail you, nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage. For unto this people shall you divide for an inheritance the land which I swore unto their fathers to give them. Only be strong and courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded you. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper whithersoever you go. Whithersoever you go. This sefer of the Torah shall not depart out of your mouth, But you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then you shall make your way prosperous. For then you shall make your way prosperous. And then you shall have good success. And then you shall have good success. Have I not commanded you? That's a question. What's the command? Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for Yahweh your Elohim is with you whithersoever you go. So this is one. This is after Moshe died. Everywhere that the sole of your foot touches is yours. I have given it to you, as I did before. Only him and Caleb now are able to go in. So we see in 7, the children committed a trespass and the cursed thing of Achan, and they were wondering why they was losing the fight. Then they found out it was sin in the camp. When they found out it was sin in the camp, they quickly corrected it. And then we go over here to 8. We go over here to 8. I'm just giving you brief synopsis so that you kind of aren't as lost. Because I said we've been going through 1 all the way through, so we're in 9. And then he says again, after all of that, they got rid of Achan and his family. Achan's sin caused his whole family to have to perish with him. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago. And then in 8, so not 7, so that was 7, sorry. 8, again, after we got that right, consecrated themselves again. And so Yahweh tells him now, hey, now fear not, neither be dismayed. Take all the people of war with you, go arise and go to Ai, and see, I have given into your hand the king. And he tells him what to do. He says, then seize the city, and Elohim will deliver it unto you. So we get here to 9. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to read the last part of 8. The last part of 8, yes, I'm going to read the last part of 8. That really just, whoo. So, when he told them to go into cities, and this is just opening up for where we're going, this is what he tells them. And then we'll go more into it. But he tells them, when you go, so he says, for Yahoshua drew not his hand back, whithersoever he stretched out his spear, until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the cattle and the spoil of that city Israel took for a prey unto themselves, according unto the word of Yahweh, which he commanded. Okay, we're fighting a little bit with the pages, but I'm gonna get a system going where I'm flipping through. And Yahoshua burnt Ai and made it a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until eventide. And as soon as the sun was down, Yahoshua commanded that they should take his carcass down from the tree, and this is into 8, and at the entering of the gate in the city, and raised thereon a great heap of stones that remained unto this day. Then Yahoshua built an altar unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel in Mount Ebal, as Moshe the servant of Yahweh commanded the children of Israel. And it is written in the Sefer of the Torah of Moshe, an altar of whole stones over which no man has lit any iron. And they offered therein burnt offerings unto Yahweh and sacrificed peace offerings. And he wrote there on the stones a copy of the Torah of Moshe, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. And all Israel and their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark, and the others and that side before the priests and the Levites, which bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and as well the stranger as he that was born among them, half of them over against Mount Gerizim, and half of them over against Ebal, as Moshe the servant of Yahweh had commanded before that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterward he read all the words of Torah, the blessings and cursings, according to all that is written in the Sefer of the Torah. There was not a word of all that Moshe commanded. I gotta read that again. There was not a word of all that Moshe commanded which Yahoshua read not before all the congregation of Israel, with the women and the little ones and the strangers that were conversant among them, or spending time in that place with them. So, all of the words. He didn't get rid of that. Okay? So we got that, just kind of gets rid of, again, that Old Testament thing is done away with. It's not done away with. Okay. I'm gonna make this happen like this to get this together, because my ADD will kick in and I'll be all over the place trying to get it. There we go. Thank you. A version for myself. Okay, that works. Man, I'm up here working too hard. So, now we're in chapter 9. And so that was just a brief overview to get us to where we are now. So, chapter 9. And so now you just won't feel as lost. And it came to pass, when all the kings were on this side of the Jordan, in the hills, and in the valleys, and in all the coasts of the great sea over against Lebanon, the Hittites, and the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites heard thereof, that they gathered themselves together to fight with Yahoshua and with Israel with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard that Yahoshua had done what he had done unto Jericho and to Ai, they did work willingly, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles, old and rent and bound up, and old shoes, and clouded upon their feet, and old garments upon them, and all the bread of their provision was dry and moldy. And they went to Yahoshua unto the camp of Gilgal, and said unto him and to the men of Israel, We be come from a far country. Now therefore make ye a league with us. And the men of Israel said unto the Hivites, Peradventure ye dwelling among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Yahoshua, We are your servants. And Yahoshua said unto them, Who are ye? And from whence ye come? And they said unto him, From a very far country your servant are come because of the name of Yahweh, your Elohim. For we have heard the fame of him, and all that he did in Egypt, and that all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, to Sihon, king of Heshbon, and to Og, king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spoke to us, saying, Take victuals with you for the journey, and go to meet them, and say unto them, Who are your servants therefore? Now make ye a league with us. Okay. Now I'm lost because I barely can see. Okay. Take victuals and go meet them, and say unto them, We are your servants, therefore. Now make ye a league with us. This our bread we took hot for our provision out of our house on the day we came forth to go out with you. Now behold, it is dry, and it is moldy, and these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and behold, they are rent. And these our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the men took of their victuals, and asked not counsel at the mouth of Yah. And Yahoshua made peace with them, and made a league with them, and let them live. And the princes of the congregation swore unto them. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made a league with them, that they heard they were their neighbors, and that they dwelt among them. And the children of Israel journeyed and came unto their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, and Sephirah, and Beeroth, and say that? Kira John.